His name is Graham Hill.
Hang on a second.
And here he is.
They call me the seeker.
He liked to play up to the camera.
First of all, you've got to finish.
I've been searching low and high.
He was a one of a kind.
But you put the text in the post, is it?
There was only one Graham Hill.
Chuck it round this right-hander and a very short, sharp squirt in second gear down the station hairpin.
They called him Mr. Monaco. Graham Hill, world champion of 1962 and 1968, was quite unlike any Grand Prix driver there's ever been. Charming, extrovert, and just a little bit eccentric.
I'm going to have a couple of little darlings come in and rub my bottom. So, if you can beat that, good luck.
A huge sense of humour, dry humour, and he got off with murder in some of the things that he said.
There was a lot of, I would say, acceptable fruitiness in our culture at that time, and it was seen as all a bit of fun, and everyone seemed to enjoy it, and he certainly did.
Hill's route into motorsport was somewhat unusual. Aged 24 and completely on a whim, he popped down to Brands Hatch and paid 20 shillings for a few laps in a Formula 3 car. He was immediately bitten by the racing bug, despite having neither a driving licence nor the ability to pay for his new hobby.
But what Graham did have was a magnetic personality and the gift of the gab, which helped him talk his way into a job with Lotus and eventually a Grand Prix drive.
The first of which was here in Monaco in 1958.
I got myself into about 4th place, and I thought, Christ, you know, this Grand Prix racing is a piece of cake. And then my back wheel fell off.
He had some of the best stories. He had a wee black book, and all he had was the hit line at the end of the book, but he had a memory that could take him back forever.
Perfectly groomed hair, pencil moustache, effortlessly dashing. The British public took to Hill instantly.
What particular advantage has this car got over, say, the car I was driving?
Well, it's faster, Graham.
He had that sort of po face that would suddenly fill into a fantastic smile that just captivated everybody.
I think my dad was modelled on that kind of empire hero, the sort of swashbuckling Errol Flynn type person.
Hill made the motor work. He drove it, tested it. At one point, he even broke it, just a little. But he liked it.
Oh, it's such a poke.
But under that crash helmet bearing the colours of the London Rowing Club lay a passion and determination behind the wheel.
Good driver. I don't think a great driver, because in his time there was Jim Clark, and Jimmy really was at that time the best racing driver in the world. He just didn't have the natural talent that Jimmy had, but he was very thorough, and he still kept winning Grand Prix and winning Monaco.
He lived through the Blitz, you know, so he was brought up in that whole we shall fight them on the beaches and all the rest of we shall never surrender kind of spirit.
While perhaps not the most naturally gifted, Hill was certainly versatile. He remains the only driver in history to have won motorsport's Triple Crown: the Monaco Grand Prix, the Indy 500 and the Le Mans 24 Hours.
For the British racing driver, Graham Hill, a wonderful win, richly deserved.
1969 was the beginning of Graham's decline. A nasty injury at the US Grand Prix meant Hill was never quite the same driver again. But he kept plugging away and established his own team, Embassy Hill Racing, before eventually retiring well past his prime in 1975.
But on a foggy evening in November later that year, Hill and 5 of his team were killed when their aircraft crashed into Arkley Golf Course on approach to Elstree Airfield.
Risk-taking was part of his life, and I think he took a decision that he thought he could land the plane in those conditions.
I went to all 6 of the funerals with Betty, and Graham's loss was a huge one.
There is a train that's heading straight to Heaven's Gate, to Heaven's Gate. And on the way, child and man and woman wait, watch and wait for Redemption Day.
How do you think he would have seen his little lad doing quite well that day in Japan in 1996?
I think he would have loved it. I think he would have been right in there trying to, you know, give me advice and coach me, and I probably would have been sick to death of his advice after a couple of hours or something, but it would have been nice to have had him around here.
Graham Hill, the ultimate gentleman racer.
Thank you.
Good night, darling.
Night.